Hello everyone and welcome to another video. My name is Jada, and like I do on most of the videos where I'm ranting about Jamaica, I'm gonna put a disclaimer out there. I am not a Jamaican, right? I love Jamaica. I love the country, I love the people, I love the culture, I most definitely love the food. I am married to a Jamaican man and my twin boys are Jamaican citizens, right? So I'm putting that out there. I am sharing my experience with this subject and I'm sharing some of my thoughts about it. So before you guys curse me out in the comments, these are just solely my opinions based on my interactions with this subject, okay? So now that we got that out of the way, the focus of this video is to talk about leaving your children in Jamaica for you to go abroad, whether that's the USA, the UK, Canada, Panama, wherever you're going, leaving your kids with a loved one in Jamaica, right? I'm sure that many of you who are watching this video have either yourself gone through this situation or you know someone close to you who's gone through this situation and had to leave their child while they go abroad to chase better opportunities, right? And so in this video, my goal of this video is not to say that's wrong or to say that's right. It's really just to talk about it and to have an open dialogue. And I hope if you're watching this video, you will comment down below and let me know if you think it's wise for parents to do this or it's not wise, right? Me and my husband have personally gone through this very traumatic and hard decision-making process. When I got pregnant with my twins, right, first of all, I was completely shocked because I have PCOS, so I did not think that I would be able to get pregnant, and I did, which is a blessing. And then it was a double blessing because it was twins. And children are expensive, right? Children are expensive, and the US has like a really, I think, inferior early education program for children birth to 5, because as you know, daycare is expensive, healthcare is expensive, everything's just expensive, right, when you have kids. So when we found out it was twins, we were happy, but then we also looked at each other and were like, how in the world are we going to be able to afford 2 children, right? At this time, we were living in a 1-bedroom apartment, and we're just like, this is gonna be hard. So when I started calling around to these daycare facilities, the price astounded me. Like, I'm not even gonna lie, like, I was shocked when they started giving me the prices. And I'm like, it was $2,500 a month, $3,000 a month USD, okay, a month. And then on top of that, like, the healthcare was like $600 a month. And so when I did all the calculations, it would take one of our incomes to basically support them going to daycare, their health insurance, and like getting a larger apartment, right? So we were both like, I don't know if we can afford this, right? And we really like contemplated sending our kids to Jamaica to live with his sister, because she was saying like the daycare that was by her, and she lives in where does she live? I think she lives in Spalding in Manchester, and she was like, the daycare around her is way less, you know, we could send money for them and food, and it was like a quarter of the price for them to go with his sister in Jamaica than it was for them to stay here. And then our rationale would be, all right, well, while they're in Jamaica, we can make sure, because we wanted to move to Jamaica anyway. So my thinking was, all right, let's hustle while we're here in the US, send money to them, save, and then we can build the house there, get a car there, and do everything needed to make sure that we get our kids in a safe, well, her environment was safe. I'm not saying where they would go would be unsafe, but our thinking was we can hustle and then we can build everything we need in Jamaica, and then they'll just come with us. But while I was pregnant and going through, you know, a huge life decision, I was like, man, can I do this? And then I was like, yeah, I can do this. You know, they'll be fine. That's their auntie. You know what I mean? And so then what I did was I went and started looking into how can they stay there for longer, because of course they're U.S. citizens, so they can't stay there longer than the allotted time that the U.S. passport will allow them. So when they were born, I went ahead and got their Jamaican citizenship in preparation for them to stay in Jamaica. But then, guys, like, once I started talking to people whose parents did that in reverse and left them in Jamaica and came abroad, and I started hearing their stories about how they were mistreated by their family members, or how they had a longing for their parents and especially their mother, and then having that relationship where they only see you maybe once or twice a year, and then I was like, well, they're going to be so young, they won't even have time to really latch on to us as their parents. I decided that in my best interest and in their best interest, number one, that we would just have to figure it out. Like, I told my husband and he agreed, like, we're just gonna have to figure it out, because I don't want them to go over there, especially from so young, and then when they come around me, they're like, who are you? You know what I mean? And so that is why we decided that we weren't going to send our children to Jamaica. But I understand that everybody's not that fortunate, because yeah, we figured it out, and yes, they're in daycare that costs $160 a day, but we're still managing and we're still able to thrive, even though it's not as fast as if they were there. But at the same time, it's not like I am going somewhere else where they can't go because they don't have the proper documentation. So I am cognizant of that. So I guess transitioning from that is like, okay, is it wise for you to leave Jamaica and go in search of a better life and then leave your children? And this doesn't just happen in Jamaica. This is all over. It happens in China. It happens in Korea. It happens all over the Caribbean. And people leave their kids. They go over in search of a better life. And then they're sending that black tax home, right? They're sending money home. They're sending barrels, which is why the phrase was coined, barrel babies, because, you know, you're sending barrels to your kids and your relatives have your children and, you know, whatever. So is it good? Like, let me know what you guys think. Do you think that people should leave their kids, or do you think that they should stay? Because it's twofold, right? Because on one hand, when you leave your children in the hands of a relative, what happens to that child psychologically, right? Because humans have one of the longest, like, infancy and childhood phases than any other species, right? So humans need, like, adult supervision, because without it they would die. Like, if you're a child or a baby and you don't have someone looking after you to give you milk or food or whatever, nutrients, or to put clothes on you or whatever, you're gonna die, right? So when you leave your child psychologically, they can miss that attachment to their parent, right? And then my thinking is, okay, if you leave them with a relative, they may grow so close with the relative that they no longer really desire you as their birth parent anymore, because they are getting all their love, attention, and affection from that relative, right? Because I remember when I was deciding about our own kids, I looked up studies about this, right? Because I wanted it to be science-backed, and they were talking about these children whose parents left them in China and moved to the US. And when the children got old enough to go to public school in America, the parents got them. And it was like a lot of these children had very intense emotional connections with their grandparents that they were living with, that they did not want to go with their parent, right? And so you think about that, like, is it worth it, right? And then Another thing that I have heard about from some of my now loved ones that have been the child of parents who've moved abroad is that they're not always treated right by their relatives. So like I know one lady, right, who is now in her 30s, but her mother left when she was maybe 7, and out of 6 children, the youngest was 2, and now the one that was 2 is now 27, and for the first time since she was 2, she's seen her mother. So all of this time, they were not able to see their mom, only talk to her on the phone. And during this time, it wasn't like WhatsApp and all these things where you can just call and video call. Like they had to wait for her to call from London, and the mom wasn't straight there in London to the fact where she could travel back and forth. Like this is the first time seeing them in over 25 years, right? And so my friend told me, like, growing up it was hard because her auntie had her own 6 kids and then had her sister's crop of kids, and it just wasn't enough of the auntie to go around. And then the auntie started taking some of the money that the mother would send for the children, and that, you know, my friend had, as the oldest, had to be looking over her sisters and brothers and making sure they had what they needed. So it robbed her of her childhood. And she was like, you know, all the years that my mom was abroad, she's just now getting her paperwork and she's just now starting her house. So I really feel like if she would have stayed, we would have had a better childhood, because we were still struggling whether or not she was here. So at least we would have struggled together in love, you know, because she was like, she still didn't build a house or really send any of us like a car or send us to college or any of these things. So we think about it in that sense. And then I know another person whose parent went abroad and she didn't have her paperwork either, and she left him with his grandmother, and then his grandmother was unfortunately killed. And then him and his brother were literally just like bouncing around from house to house until eventually one of the grandmother's church friends took him in, and then she died. And him and the brother have been alone since they were like 15 and 16 years old because they didn't know their father. And so now when it comes to like relationships, it's hard for him to form an emotional bond with women because of what he has gone through with his mother. So I just think about all of those things when, you know, it's time to leave your child, because nobody's going to take care of your child like you, right? No one's going to take care of your child like you, unless maybe it's like a grandma or something. But really, truly, no one is going to take care of your child as good as you. And I just wonder that if you're going to chase these opportunities abroad, and I made my own video about why I don't feel like the America is like the America that everybody wants and like everybody hopes for. I made a whole rant about that, and you can check that out. I'll link it up around here. But like the whole American dream and like all this, what you can get in the UK, I really don't feel like it's as much as people are anticipating when they're leaving. And I feel like the same things that you can get in America, you can get in Jamaica too. That's just my opinion. And somebody's gonna curse me out in the comments, that's fine, but that's my opinion. And like, I know, well, I can tell you guys, my husband's mother, right, my mother-in-law, she has 14 kids, right, all with the same mother and father. And I asked her when she was here, because she just left to go back to Jamaica, and I asked her, why didn't you go abroad? Because you have your tenure, right? You could have left them, and you could have probably made more money than what you're making in Jamaica, because she had to hustle to feed her children, right? And so I asked her, like, why didn't you just run off? And she was like, the same thing. Nobody's gonna take care of my kids like how I take care of them. She was like, I've seen how people treat other people as pick me, as she says. And she was like, I'm just not gonna leave them. I'd rather struggle with them. And she was like, because I know that I can grow my kids good, as she did. And she was like, none of my kids got in any trouble. None of them are in prison. None of them have been shot. They're not in gangs. They all have their career or their business. And I feel like if I would have gone abroad, maybe they would not have had those same opportunities, because I was there to basically put my foot in their ass and make sure they did the right thing. So I don't know, guys. Like, I said I wasn't going to come onto this video to say what's right or what's wrong, but you can obviously see my opinion on it. Like, I feel like it's better to be with your kids. I know that I could probably be so much more advanced without them being here, because I could be hustling to make sure that I get them everything that they need. But at the same time, being present for them is important to me. You know what I mean? In the same token, personally, I understand how it doesn't always happen that way, because, for example, my husband has an older daughter who is 10, who lives in Jamaica with her mother. And I see how it hurts him, right? That the fact that he cannot see her as much as he likes, and that she can't come here and, you know, stay for the summer because she doesn't have the proper paperwork that's needed. And I see how their bond has been weakened, because he used to be like a single dad, and then, you know, coming over here and having to leave her with her mom, you know, it hurts. And I can see that, and it's been years that he's seen her, and they're going to be reconnecting soon, but, you know, that emotional bond has to be strengthened again. So let me know what you think, because at this point I'm kind of just ranting. But do you think it is worth leaving your children in Jamaica while you're abroad and working? Let me know what you think. Like, I know you can make more money, send them more things, help them go to school, maybe some of the things that, you know, you couldn't do before. I don't know if I'm looking at this in like a foreigner mindset, you know, I don't know, and I really want to know. So let me know what you guys think. All right, so I'm gonna end this video here. Make sure to comment, like, and subscribe to the channel, and let me know your opinions. So I will see you guys in my next video, and please don't curse me out in the comments, okay? Because I read all the comments and, like, y'all be cursing me out, okay? So please don't curse me out, but if you do, it's okay. I can take it. I have a big back, as you can see, so I can take it. Let me know what you think, okay? Bye.